Today, during Microsoft's Copilot Wave 2 announcements, you may have heard of Copilot Pages. I want to briefly break down what they are, what's exciting about them, and what we might want to consider, at least at the high level, if you're a business leader or you're supporting IT, or maybe you're in IT and you're trying to make sense of this new announcement. Let's skip all the marketing and just talk about what it is. First, it's exciting. And it is exciting because it means for many users who are working together and they're using Copilot, you're using Copilot, I'm using Copilot. When we do those interactions, we often have to put our content, our results of our Copilot interactions somewhere. Most people today, they'll use meetings. So you and I are on a meeting, it's planned, perfect, it's scheduled, and we'll use that meeting sidebar and post it there. And so we're creating stuff, we're collaborating on a document, we're creating all sorts of slides, we're doing things. And as we're generating content from our Copilot, of course we have a rich history of Copilot interactions, we're pulling on that to produce something together. And that kind of keeps us on the same page. And some people use the Teams chat itself for that, right? They use the Teams sidebar in that meeting. Or maybe you have an ad hoc discussion and you use that Teams chat. But if you've ever used Teams chat, it becomes really unwieldy over time because everything's based on recency, right? So as you create a new post, it moves down, and you have to scroll up and down to figure out what's been going on. Now that's challenging for 2 people, but when you add 3 or 4, it becomes really complicated because when we're collaborating with one another through that high velocity interaction, there's people that come in midstream, they come in later, there might be another meeting that comes up, which is building on the first meeting. And so each of those, all of a sudden, if you're brought into that, you're missing either that context from before, or you have it, but it's really hard to read through again. So off comes Microsoft Loop. And in many organizations, Microsoft Loop supports collaboration scenarios where you have multiple people working with high velocity, we're trying to figure stuff out, and we're using Loop as a way to organize our thoughts, our outputs of this, often before a more formal thing like a business document is generated. Think of the PowerPoint presentations or set of documents that might be generated from it. In this way, Loop acts as a way to keep us all in the loop and help us collaborate effectively. So what is Copilot Pages then? Well, what it is it's when we have interactions and we're using Copilot, and then we realize we need to take the results of this and start to work on it, kind of work out loud, sometimes for our own benefit, just a place to store them and then come back to those notes later. Why? Because sometimes you have prompt after prompt after prompt. You have many of your history prompts that you need to use just for one experiment, one set of experiences you did. And this means that it can all be kind of stored in one location, at least the results of those prompts, so it's easier to reference. But it's even more impactful when it works with others. Because if you're working away on Copilot and I'm working away on Copilot and we work together by storing our results together in something like this Copilot page, then it means it's that much easier when we bring someone else in on that flow. So think of this as a bridge where instead of Loop being a secondary thing that people need to understand and then wrap their minds around and then bring into the flow of AI collaboration, higher velocity, much more interactive collaboration format today, now they can just do it directly from Copilot. And Loop is a perfect solution for this because the way it works is you can use those components, those parts of Loop in various other experiences. If you prefer to work in other places, you can do that. And of course, Loop already has great compliance and other capabilities for e-discovery, all sorts of things that can help you. And so if you're an IT person or you're friends with IT and they're worried about Copilot Pages, it's important to understand that a lot of those core capabilities are still valid and apply directly as these now become available. But it does lead to a question, which is what about advanced scenarios? Maybe you want to understand which geo it creates these under, or you want to understand when it creates these Copilot pages and the user who created those Copilot pages leaves the organization, what happens to those pages? There's answers for all of these, right? When someone leaves the organization, just like OneDrive, it will dispose of that content. So it's really important for us to plan ahead and make sure that we've planned accordingly so that we understand how to move that content to a shared location if it's really valid and we want to keep it and maintain it. This means that it adds more layers and complexity and dialogue for IT to prepare when it comes to Copilot rollouts, because this is going to be on for everyone. And it's important to understand this isn't limited to Copilot for Microsoft 365. This is something coming to the Copilot commercial scenarios as well, which means this is a pattern everyone will get used to. Whenever you use Copilot, you'll think of 2 ways to use it, individually, and then when I want to do anything that stores or shares it, I'll probably use Copilot Pages, and that'll be the default for many. So it's really important to embrace this now, understand it and experiment with it yourself, and then as an organization, find the right ways to support not just digital excellence with this, but the right and responsible way for IT to ensure that things are protected, especially as people leave and rotate out of the organization. So if your organization and yourself have not prioritized Microsoft Loop, you kind of have no choice now if you're using Copilot for Microsoft 365, because Copilot Pages are coming and they matter a lot and they do improve the collaboration experience. And I'm sure you'll see that yourself when you get your hands on it very soon. Thanks so much for your time, and I hope this has been helpful for you.